Dry hair was a lie made up by the lizards so we'd buy towels. Hello everybody, my name is Xander, and today I'm taking a look at this new Iggy Pop record. Free. Don't question it. This album kind of snuck up on me. Iggy Pop isn't actually an artist I'm too familiar with, despite his basically legend status. Of course I'm aware of him, but I'd never actually checked out his stuff. I think my uncle's a fan, and so as a non-fan, I'm kind of going into this record blind. Yeah, that's right, a music review channel that doesn't waste the first few minutes telling you the history of an artist. This is revolutionary, folks. So the first thing that hit me is the use of trumpets on this album. They're all over it, and I think that what really makes them stick is the variety. It isn't just one kind, it displays the full range of tones the instrument can provide, from these warm, soft, harmonized tones to the really punchy, blaring sections in some of the louder parts of the later tracks. It adds both a sense of energy and ambient backing to a lot of the tracks. But it kind of feels like this album is split into two pieces. There are the loud, poetry-filled trumpet sections, and then there are these chill, rocky bass sections with some kind of spoken word stuff over the top. Not just in volume, but in pitch. It's got a lovely baritone quality to it that really gets you through some of the lyrical sections. And with the volume and reverb in some of the more clouded sections, it adds this kind of misty atmosphere to the whole song, and allow his lyrics to sort of transcend their meaning and just become this floating thing above the mix. But again, this album feels like it's in two pieces, so while for some of it I'm complimenting that, for the other half it's surprisingly the opposite. Just kind of saying his lyrics and letting the backing just be the vehicle to do that, rather than having the vocals and the backing be part of one big mix. I absolutely loved the first two tracks. The Sea of Trumpets harmonised great, and on Love Is Missing, the way it starts off with the softer tone I was describing before, and then goes up into this big, loud rock opera style. Love screaming! And through all this, I was like, fuck, this is actually great! And then we get to James Bond. Before we start this, yes, the bass riff is good. My actual bass is downstairs, we don't have the budget for me to go grab it, but despite this funky bass line and the very entertaining "She wants to be your James Bond" vocal line, I got sick of this track really quickly. It feels like he came up with the idea for this track, wrote the riffs, wrote the chorus, then went, fuck, I need verses. And because of that, they feel by the numbers and even desperate. She walks like him, talks like him too. She can suss out the spy, even if it's you. She trusts no one, not even herself, makes no sudden moves, chalks it up to stealth. That may sound fine enough, but with his ultra-slow delivery and the fact that you just want to get back to the chorus, these sections drag like nothing else. Either come up with new creative ideas, or just cut the track to be shorter. And maybe this is just me, but it feels like they get destructively meaningless towards the end of the track. Nuts melt in her mouth, but not in her hand. No need to figure it out, she just likes M&Ms. Sweet to the taste, bitter to the gut, 'cause she fills them up with you-know-what. Maybe you're getting something out of these lyrics, but I'm just not. Your tolerance for these and just vulgarity in general will definitely be the deciding factor on whether or not you enjoy this album. If sections like this sound like something fun you could have in the background, I thoroughly recommend this album, you'll get a lot out of it. But if you're like me and hate overly long verse sections that feel arbitrary, then parts of this album will just piss you off to no end. So I'm complaining a lot, but I don't want to give the impression that I just hated this album. Like I said, the front of the album I really loved. I've been listening to Love's Missing and Glow in the Dark tons, but I can't get past the fact that the middle of this album is 20 minutes of meaningless nothingness to me. And just because I feel like I have to mention it, the end of this album is kind of weird. It's this poetry section, and perhaps there'll be people in the comments just telling me I need to interpret better, but a lot of these words just sound like they're trying to be cool rather than actually trying to carry across some kind of message. Do not go gently into that good night. And so overall, there are a lot of great moments on this album, a lot of points that rack up the intensity and really fill you with this atmosphere, as well as a lot of cool bass lines, and some legit fine lyrics every once in a while. But depending on how sensitive your lyrics BS meter is, you might actually end up hating this album. And for the length of time it wastes on these sections, even if I did enjoy a lot of the other sections loads, I just can't justify giving it a high rating. It's no Iggy Pop record, it's a 6-. And yeah, I think that's all I had to say about this album. Bit of a weird one, not gonna lie. If you enjoyed this video, then I would really appreciate you liking it. It does really help me in the algorithms. If you've enjoyed this video for whatever reason, you can feel free to subscribe. There are some other rock reviews. leave a comment with an album you want me to review. I'm doing a catch-up review soon, so it might be in there. Yeah.